Hey everybody, this video is going to go over the syllabus for the English 250 class. You'll see underneath the video I've actually copied and pasted the syllabus, so that way if you want you can pause the video and scroll through, actually you can let the video play and scroll through the syllabus that's pasted underneath, or you can pause the video and go look and come back to the video. So not only is the syllabus available as a PDF in the Getting Started section, but it's also underneath this video, just copied and pasted right into the window. So I do want to take a few minutes to go over some of the important information found in the syllabus. I suggest, I recommend that you go through it more thoroughly on your own, but I do want to just hit some of the highlights here together. The first thing you'll notice is the course description, right? So a study of the methods of persuasion, logical and emotional appeals and trustworthiness, ways of structuring arguments, and persuasive style. Students will learn to create and critique arguments on a variety of subjects. This is rhetorical persuasion. This is all about argument. I probably sound crazy for this, but this class is so exciting to me. It's so much fun. So we're going to be learning about argument, how to engage it with argument, how to analyze someone else's argument, and how to create your own strong arguments, how to be persuasive, right? It is a 20-hour contact class with 40 hours of out-of-class work. So if we were taking this class on campus, you would be in class each week for 2 hours, and then you would have 4 hours of homework each week. It's an online class, so we don't do 2 hours in the classroom. It's just 6 hours each week. I go through more thoroughly, give a better explanation of how the material and the homework assignments all work together in the video on how to navigate this course. So you can go back and refer to that if you're not really sure what I mean by the 20 and the 40. But that is what you should be expecting, is roughly 6 hours of work each week. Now that can mean a lot of different things: reading, writing, watching, listening, a lot of stuff. You'll see the course objectives listed next. You can go through those. Those are all the items that we'll kind of be hitting on at one point or another throughout the quarter. But the idea here is to learn to be more effective at analyzing and creating argument and being persuasive. Let's see, instructional methods, modes of delivery. Textbook. So our textbook for this class is Inventing Arguments. You will need the textbook for this course. a lot of the assignments and readings come from the textbook, so it's pretty essential that you have it. If you have trouble getting it for whatever reason, let me know. We'll see what we can work out. But the textbook is a pretty crucial part of the course. The course itself, what you're going to be graded on. If you look on page 2 and the top of page 3, you have how the grades are broken down, what categories they're in, and what percentage each category holds. So we've got our discussion forums. We'll do one of those each week. Those all count total for 15% of your overall grade. You have your exercises and assignments that you'll do throughout each week, and those all together are worth 25% of your overall grade. Then you have our course project. The course project is worth 40% of your overall grade. It's a big one. It is broken down into 4 parts, right? So project part 1 is worth 5% of that overall 40%. Same thing with parts 2 and part 3. They're each worth 5% of that overall 40. Part 4 is the completion of the project, the final product that you're going to be turning in, and that is worth 25% of that 40. And then you have a final exam essay, which is worth 20% of your overall grade. So between the final exam essay and the course project, that's 60% of your overall grade. So make sure that you are doing what you can to be prepared for those and submitting them on time and doing what's required of you for those, because it's a pretty huge percentage of your overall grade. The out of class time, you can see how I have envisioned it being distributed. So remember, it's 4 hours each week, accumulating to 40 hours throughout the quarter. I'm anticipating the discussion forums taking you 5 hours total throughout the quarter. The chapter readings, a total of 2 hours. And when I say chapter readings, I don't mean going through and reading every single word of every single chapter and highlighting things and taking notes. It's not that kind of class. Everything that's in each chapter that you're assigned to read, I go over in the material in each weekly module. So it's really more of a review for the chapters, just skimming over that information and helping it stick, in your memory. The homework assignments, 15 hours, and the course project, 18 hours, right? So 2 hours of in-class work, 4 hours of out-of-class work, or just a total of 6 hours per week. That's what we should be averaging. Next comes the course outline. I'm not going to go through this in any detail, but it's here on the syllabus for you to refer to. Everything that's listed on here is listed on the agenda at the beginning of each weekly module. So I don't really think I need to go through every specific week to show you what's coming, but it is here for you if you want to quickly find out when certain things are going to be due. Because you can go through each weekly module, but if you don't know what module it's in, it's going to take more time. If you're like, oh man, I wonder when project part 2 is going to be assigned. Maybe you're going out of town, or you have something going on, and you're trying to, manage your time and figure out when you're going to work on things. You can come back to the course outline in the syllabus and have an easier time of finding out when bigger things are due each, throughout the quarter. So after the course outline, we have some policies that are listed. At the top there, though, you'll see my contact hour, or my contact information again, top of page 9. It is listed in the Meet Your Instructor section in the Getting Started tab in the course, but it's also here for you to refer to, my cell phone number and my email address. The attendance policy, I cover that in the attendance and weekly deadlines tab in the Getting Started section. On page 10, I want to take a quick look at the academic integrity policy. What we're talking about here is being honest about your work. In a class like this, where you're reading and writing, you would probably get in trouble in this respect by using sources, material from other sources, and not citing them. I would really hope that we wouldn't be coming across full essays being copied and pasted and passed off as your own. That has happened. But what I'm really thinking that might more likely happen is, you're taking, a few sentences from a source and using them in your work and not giving credit to that source. So we're talking about plagiarism, basically. Academic integrity policy is any kind, we're talking about any kind of cheating, any kind of dishonesty about your work. In this class, it typically comes across as plagiarism. And I just want to encourage you to resist any temptation to plagiarize. If you submit something to me and huge chunks of that item, that assignment, are directly from another source, that's a problem, a serious problem. If you submit something, and again, it's just a few sentences that are taken from another source, it's still serious, but I give you the benefit of the doubt there. And if I can, whenever possible, I won't punish you for plagiarizing. I will simply bring it to your attention and give you the opportunity to redo it. I do have to report these things though. I have to keep track of them, so just keep that in mind. But I do realize that some students aren't intentionally doing these things. They just don't know how to cite sources. They've not really had to deal with that before. I will say though that this course, a prerequisite for taking this course is Comp 2, English 112. So you should know about citing sources properly, right? I try to make the assignments not so difficult that you would want or need, to feel panicked and need to plagiarize. But just know that if I ever come across anything that raises a red flag, I will look into it further, and there will be consequences for that. Let's see what else we can look at. On page 11, there's some information about the Learning Assistance Center. I can't stress enough how helpful they can be. Use that resource to your advantage if you ever need additional assistance with anything. Let's see. Page 12 starts my Instructor Policies. I think the one I really want to look at is the late work policy. Basically, try to submit all the work on time. Assume that there is no late work policy, that if you don't submit it on time, you get a 0 and that's it. Obviously, that's not the case. I will accept late work, but if you function as though you're not allowed to submit anything late, then it might help you keep on top of everything and not fall behind in the work. It's tough to come out from under a pile of work in classes that involve a lot of reading and writing. I would say basically you have 2 weeks past the due date to submit something to me. Anything beyond that, you would have to ask me if I would still accept it. Anything past that, anything past a week late, you're gonna risk having points deducted, but some points is better than no points, right? The one thing that I will like to say though is that I will not accept any late work past the start of week 10. Because after that, we're getting into course projects being turned in and final exam essays, and there's not a lot of turnaround time from you guys submitting your work to me turning in final grades. It's 24 hours. So I'm busy enough, and we're all busy enough getting everything, all the loose ends tied up at the end of the quarter, that I won't really accept late work past week 10. If it's something that's still pretty current, like if it's something from week 9, go ahead and ask me, right? But for the most part, just assume that I won't accept anything past week 10 that's late. I talked a little bit more in the syllabus here about my plagiarism policy, but what I want to focus on at the end here is the methods for evaluating students. So I've already talked about how the grades are distributed. So I've already talked about the discussion forums. You're expected to post your initial response by Thursdays at 11:59 p.m. and then respond to 2 students by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. If you can't get to that first post by Thursday night, it's not the end of the world, but you want to try to get that first post done as soon as you can. That way everyone has enough classmates to choose from to respond to. Keep in mind that Sunday night, when that discussion forum closes, it cannot be reopened. I'm literally not allowed to reopen a discussion forum. So while I will accept late work for exercises and assignments, that discussion forum has to be done in that time frame, or you lose points on it. Exercises and assignments, again, those are worth a total of 25% of your overall grade. There's quite a bit of them. If you miss a few of them, it's not going to be the end of the world. But if you miss a lot of them, it will affect your grade negatively, your overall grade. But I realize you have a lot of other classes going on, a lot of life going on. So I realize that there will be students who don't submit every assignment, and it isn't the end of the world. But just know that if you start to accumulate too many of those missing assignments, it will impact your grade. What I really want to focus on here is the course project and the final exam essay. So as I mentioned earlier, the course project is broken down into 4 parts. Each of the first 3 parts, parts 1, 2, and 3, are worth 5% of the overall 40% that the course project is worth. Project part 4, which is the final draft of the essay you're going to be writing, that is worth 25%. I know the syllabus is a little off, but it's 5, 5, 5, and 25, right? The final exam essay is worth 20% of your overall grade, and it is a timed in-class essay. You'll get access to it the Friday before week 11 starts, and you'll have until Thursday night of week 11 to submit it. I'll go over this more throughout the quarter, but that final exam essay is actually based on all of the prompts for the weekly discussions. So that is another incentive for making sure you stay on top of those weekly discussions, is because you will get to choose one of the topics to write your final exam essay on. So super important. But what I want you to realize about the course project and the final exam essay is you must submit them in order to pass the class, regardless of what the numbers say, regardless of what your grade is at. If you don't submit one or more of those items, you will fail the course. So you have to submit project part 1, and you have to get my feedback on it before you can move on to project part 2. You have to do project part 2 and receive my feedback on it before you can move on to project part 3. Have to submit project part 3 and get my feedback on it before moving on to project part 4, and you have to submit project part 4, period. Same thing with the final exam essay. You have to submit it in order to pass the course, right? Let's see. If you have any questions about the syllabus, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, you can move on to the next sub-tab in this section, which is a very small assignment. You'll go to the assignments section and click on the syllabus acknowledgement, and all you have to do is just type a sentence letting me know that you have looked over the syllabus and watched the video and that you understand everything contained in the syllabus. But again, if you have any questions about any of it, let me know. You can go ahead and move on.